speaker, Mikele, has a career of over 20 years in technology and the built environment in Europe, North America, and Asia. She is the founder of Urban Living Futures, Inc. and creator of the UPPlift Urban Pilot Program, matching smart city innovators with technical and business resources and opportunities to deploy their solutions and gain proof of concept with global cities and asset owners/managers. For Mikele's presentation, she will discuss how innovations require market exposure and validation in order to scale, fulfill commercial contracts, and attract investment. She will address how entrepreneurs and organizations can facilitate that process, accelerate emergent innovations to market, and make cities smarter. Please welcome Mikele Brack.
And thank you for inviting me to come and speak here, and thank everybody for coming to listen to us. So just a couple of things before I start. So the Sensor Suite technology was in the UPPlift Toronto program. So I'm very familiar with that, and they're doing very well. So I'm Mikele Brack, and my company, Urban Living Futures, created the UPPlift Urban Pilot Platform. So it's a platform that works with companies and cities and city systems owners and managers. So it could be energy companies, transport providers, building portfolio managers, owners, city governments, and finds out what their challenges are that can be resolved with the use of technology. And I'm talking about creating efficiencies that we can only really create today because of the use of data. So we're talking about the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all of the things that surround the use of data platforms, data collection, using data to really understand how city systems work so that we can make them more efficient and make them more useful for the ever-expanding population that we're seeing in cities. Is this? This one. So, smart city innovation. We have such a big opportunity right now because of the availability of data. And as we heard in the last presentation, the size and cost of sensors is decreasing exponentially. It's easy to put sensors everywhere, and we have sensors everywhere. And so we just can find out so much about how city systems actually operate. We can understand what can be done to optimize them. And this is reasonably new, so it's a new opportunity for us. There's increasing ease and reducing cost of data storage and analysis. This is really, really accelerated over the past 5 years, and we've moved beyond cloud computing now to edge computing, and we're bringing it back into the communities, and there's a lot of opportunities around that. The lines between cities, tech companies, property development, those are starting to blur. I mean, Google is not a property developer, but they are responsible for a big community development in Toronto. And big technology companies want to be involved in city development, in city planning, in city creation, because that's where they can deploy loads and loads of their equipment and work with the small companies, hopefully in those communities also, to bring their technology solutions into these developments. So the opportunities for smart city technologies abound. But there are challenges for the innovators, for the small companies, or even large companies that are creating new solutions that they want to deploy as smart city solutions. And one of those things is accessing the opportunities to demonstrate their value. So you can go ahead and create a fantastic solution, a brilliant solution, but if nobody is going to allow you to demonstrate how that works and how it can create an efficiency and create value, it's probably not going to be procured. For smaller companies particularly, but also for large companies. And in the last program that I operated here in Toronto, we had everything from 1 and 2 man small software companies to Bosch Canada. They have new technology solutions in their pipeline that they would like to deploy in someone else's building portfolio, because that's a more powerful use case than if they were deploying it in their own buildings and then reporting on how fabulously it performed. Accessing technology and business support. Well, I mean, this is less of an issue because all of the big technology companies want to support the smart city innovators because they want Intel wants Intel inside every solution. Microsoft, Google, AWS all want all of the data that's coming from those solutions on their cloud. They want everyone using their analytics. So there's a lot more access to the technology solutions right now, but to do that in a curated way to make sure that you have the right technologies and the right solutions for your business. It's still a little bit of an issue for some companies. And certainly business support. So what do you need to actually do when you're approaching a building management company or an energy company or a water utility? What do you have to know about how they operate in order to be able to pilot your technology in a controlled way so you can demonstrate your value? And accessing investment, of course. It's a problem for smart city technologies particularly, or it has been in the past. I'm sure that as the smart city revolution continues, it will get easier for smart city innovators to access funding. But it's been historically an issue because the technologies have to be deployed and tested in situ. It's not like you can use external or historic data and say, okay, this is how we perform, and then the city's just going to usher it in and put it into the water system or into the building systems. So it needs to be deployed in situ and demonstrate its value, and that's always been difficult for smart city technology companies. So that is why I created the Urban Pilot Platform, UPPlift. And if you don't mind, I will just show a 2-minute video. So be prepared, it's 2 minutes. That doesn't sound like a long time, but actually I think this is quite long. I might try and edit it down a bit.
Cities are growing faster than ever before. This rapid urban migration stimulates economic activity and enhances diversity, but also brings challenges. New tech solutions can solve these challenges, but not before gaining exposure and establishing market presence. Identifying and deploying innovations is also time-consuming and risky for owners and managers of buildings and infrastructure. How can we make this process more effective? Introducing UPPlift, an urban pilot platform to bridge the gap between supply and demand for emergent smart city technologies to resolve challenges in the built environment. First, UPPlift works with organizations on the demand side to identify their innovation goals. UPPlift sources innovation with relevant solutions and coordinates support to get the innovators ready to pilot. Technology sponsors provide expertise and resources to make innovator solutions more robust and reliable. In return, they gain valuable access to emergent smart city technologies and connect with program participants. Owners and managers of buildings and infrastructure host pilots and discover valuable solutions to their pressing urban challenges. The innovations are saved within our Urban Innovation Database, creating a centralized catalog of smart city technologies and tracking their performance. The result? Investable, de-risked smart city solutions that are transferable and scalable. The UPPlift Urban Pilot Platform puts innovators, technology companies, and owners and managers of buildings and infrastructure at the forefront of innovation. Our proven collaborative approach forms a complete innovation ecosystem, accelerating technology adoption and creating smarter cities.
Platform does. The last program that we operated was here in Toronto. We've done this before in London, England with Canary Wharf Group and the Greater London Authority. But we did one here recently, UPPlift Toronto, with Quadrille Property Group, which is a building management, asset management company with a $25 billion building portfolio across Canada. The City of Toronto, Microsoft, Intel, and a number of different organizations that were supporting the program. including the IESO, Toronto Hydro, and law firms and a number of different companies supporting us. So we created that program. We operated it here. It resulted in 9 pilots. So the City of Toronto selected 3 technologies that they were interested in, 4 technologies that they were interested in, and Quadrille selected 5, and the pilots are being implemented now. One of them you can see, it's in the King Street Transport pilot on King East, and it's within one of these new areas that's been developed, seating areas, and it's a smart bench. It's a solar-powered, phone charging, Wi-Fi providing, environmental sensing, people counting piece of furniture that you can sit on. On its own, it's not really, I mean, it's useful. Of course, you can sit down and you can charge your phone. If you had this, if you had smart benches across the entire city, you would have a great set of sensors that collect information on the air quality in places that people would like to sit down, for example, and provide Wi-Fi access for people that need connectivity. And who has ever gone out without charging their phone and wishes that they could charge their phone while they're walking around the city? So it also will do that for you. So the pilot programs that I've discussed already, I've talked about how we put the call out to innovators, we run the program, we get the innovators ready to pilot, we pilot, and then we help them with commercialization. But that results in a number of technologies at different levels of validation that are within our database, the Urban Innovation Database, or Urban ID, we like to call it, which creates an opportunity for other people to browse the database and find the technologies that are interesting to them, either to invest or to bring into their buildings or their infrastructure projects. And so we have, now we're relaunching our website with these new features with the Urban Innovation Database. And that should have been launched already, but I do hope that it will be launched tomorrow morning. And there we are. I don't know why I didn't put the UPPlift URL here, but it's uplift.co, not .com. So if you're interested in, you can at any time go in and enter your company details so that you can be included in the Urban Innovation Database anytime from tomorrow morning when it's relaunched. And then companies will look through that to see whether there's a technology in there that they're interested in. And you may be contacted by a large company wanting your technology soon. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Are the partners working with the Privacy Commission of Ontario, Canada, to build in privacy by design with their solutions?
The partners, so Quadrille Property Group, Microsoft, Intel, yeah. So they're all working with the on privacy issues. Yeah, I mean the small innovators may or may not be, but through the program, if they're working with one of the large technology companies, then they're sort of taken along with them. If they're being piloted in a big property portfolio, then the data, they would have their security.
And you mentioned the smart bench.
Yes.
Somebody's walking around, who knows what kind of data they're tracking of somebody walking by. For example, the smart kiosks in New York City, they have about 400 of them, and they're tracking tourists and people without even knowing
Yeah.
that we track.
Yeah, Yorkville Mall as well, shopping center as well. But no, it has environmental sensors. It will have people counters in it, but it's only the number of people going past. So if the city then decides that they want to implement this solution and they want to have smart benches all over the city, then I'm sure it will go through that process. But with the technology that's available in it right now, there's no concerns. It's environmental information and number of people walking past.
Weapon detectors will be very helpful.
I'm sorry?
Weapon detectors, that will make it very peaceful.
Yeah, well, sadly, we may need that in Toronto.
Do you work with universities as well?
Yeah, to a certain extent, and I really tried. I mean, it would be university campuses are a great place to trial smart city technologies. Why? Because they're like mini cities. They have buildings, they have roads, they have transport, energy, and everything within them. And so it's a great place to pilot technology. And I certainly proposed that to the universities in Toronto. We didn't get there this time. It's more difficult than working with the city, actually, to work with the university. But we have great connections with the innovation communities, with the accelerators and innovation programs at the universities, and they send their innovators that are ready to pilot to us in order to get a pilot opportunity.
Have you looked outside of Toronto? I came from Queens, and I know that there's a strong community there, and just to pilot is something that's
Great. If you would like to introduce me to someone there, then I'd certainly look at that option. Yeah, we would like to do this program in other places around the world, and certainly a university opportunity would be fantastic. We may be doing this in Vancouver with our current partners, in U.S. cities with our current partners, but it would be great to do a university project.
Do you guys only connect the provider, or do you guys build something on your own?
We build a platform. We don't build any technology, any software solutions. We only discover them and curate their presentation to the people who may be interested in them.
How do you find and select the startups that you work with?
Well,
Do they approach you, or you go and...
yeah, we have people coming to our site all the time and just entering their details, so they're there when we do the program. There's another extra form that they need to fill out when our program with program-specific questions, but you can enter your details in the database at any time. Then we put a call out to innovators, so it goes out to the universities, the accelerators, to the smart city thought leaders, and the whole community, the technology community, and people pass the word on, and then people come to our site. We go out and speak at events, and we tell people that we're doing this, and therefore they have reason to come and visit our site. So it's usually based on specific challenges. So there's usually, Quadrille would have said, these are the 3 things that we would really like to resolve. If there was an off-the-shelf solution, they would have already, just bought it and implemented it. So it's something that there isn't necessarily an existing solution for, but there's probably someone out there that's developing something that could be useful to them.
What would you say are some of the keys to success for a startup trying to get into smart city?
To solve a problem, to actually have something that is interesting to the test beds. We call them test beds, the companies that would pilot the technology. It has to resolve a problem for them. It has to address a challenge that they are trying to address. And it has to do that on a cost-effective basis. So if the city is the test bed, and if that's your target market, you want to have a business model that's attractive to a city. And cities always say they don't have any money. I don't think that's true. I think they have money. It's just they don't, it's difficult to get them to spend it. But it has to be in a model that will allow them to say, okay, we can do this. It won't be, it won't be an issue. Public won't complain that we're spending money on this thing.
Is there categories of buckets that they find more attractive, like transit or data collection or assessor? Is there anything categories that they find more attractive?
It depends on the city, but with Toronto, we worked mainly through one of their existing programs that is a green market program. So the solutions that they really looked at were the things that were more related to sustainability and environmental quality. But we may do other programs with the City of Toronto based on specific issues and challenges that they have around connectivity, security. So it depends on the call. And the call, if we put the call out, it will say very specifically what needs to be responded to.
How do you deal with the procurement policies of the governmental organizations and their aversion to single sourcing?
Yeah, that's I mean, it's impossible. We don't have a resolution for that. I spoke on a panel yesterday at a conference that was on specifically that subject, and lo and behold, we did not resolve it in that panel. And I don't know what the solution is, but they can pilot a technology, they can give that innovator the proof of concept. If it turns out to be something that they really want to do, they may still have to, put it out to tender, or maybe this is the only company in the world that does that thing, and they can just procure it. That's why I involve cities and private companies, because there has to be the opportunity in the end. If you're going to ask people to spend their time developing something, there has to be the opportunity for that to get invested or procured. Are we out of time? Thank you.